The Nuremberg Code, 1947. Henrietta Lacks, 1951. Tuskegee syphilis experiments, from 1931 until public knowledge in 1972. And this led to the formation of institutional review boards based on the foundation of the Belmont Report in 1978. Respect. The decisions of adults who can think for themselves must be respected. Justice. Fairness in the selection of study participants. Beneficence. Help others. Do not harm others. John Moore versus the Regents of the University of California, 1990. John Moore sues for lack of informed consent and breach of financial duty to him. Case law is established for discarded tissues. Jesse Gelsinger versus the University of Pennsylvania, 1999. The first lawsuit directed at an IRB as well as an institution.
Using samples that are de-identified allows you to do more easily. Allows you to do things and avert the risks of identifiability, etc., to some extent. On the other hand, I think we're entering a phase where it's kind of a problem.
If you have to give your tissue as part of the surgical consent process, and there's no other hospital in the city that can do that procedure, how's that consent? That feels to me more like coercion. And it's not that I wouldn't want to give it, it's that I'd want to be asked.
Can you confirm at your institution that the portion of de-identified samples in all research studies are 90% or higher? If so, respect. With 90% or higher of an entire population of research subjects not being explained the process, not being given the opportunity to say yes or no, would this be a breach of the fundamental ethics of respect? Justice. Consider the principle enrolling certain groups because they are convenient for the researcher. Consider the population of de-identified samples.
People have an expectation, a desire to get something back from the research. That's not just an aggregate result, not just a headline in the news. They'd like to be able to access the realizing that the monies are being spent to generate this information and that there's a potential for that information to be of benefit to them directly.
What happens when regular people discover common practices are regarding their rights to consent, yes or no, in research studies?
Indian tribe wins fight to limit research of its DNA.
The Havasupai Indian case. Indian tribe, led to believe they were taking part in a diabetes study, unwittingly become subjects for schizophrenia, migration, and inbreeding studies. The tribe would not have agreed if asked. From the original study conducted in 1990 to the eventual settlement in 2010.
The government has your baby's DNA.
Texas sued over sale of baby blood samples.
I don't have a problem with the testing, but I wish they'd asked us first. I know the government says my baby's data will be kept private, but I'm not so sure. I feel like my trust has been taken.
If I have children or my cousin's children, I want them to have the best treatment that they possibly can. And if my tissues can play some tiny part in that, I will be the first one fighting for that to happen. But I have a right to be asked.
Beneficence. Help, not harm society for the good of all. Alone is beneficence enough?
You really are going to depend upon these people in a tangible way over time. And I think the time part is becoming even more and more critical.